I have a few questions for you today and a short episode. But the main thrust of my question to you today is Nigeria working for you? Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is Nigeria working for you? If it's not, is it actually President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's fault? Maybe, maybe not. I just want to throw a bunch of food for thought out there today. And then we all need to really look within and see where we can help President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do better as advisors, and how we can advise him to depend less on people around him whose only interest is in their pocket, not his best interest and not the best interest of us all Nigerians. Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Nwanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world.
Talking about integration, we cannot integrate continent-wide when we not integrate it in our region. We know that ECOWAS worked when Nigeria was working better. And when Nigeria starts crumbling, we saw what happened to ECOWAS. Nigeria is incapable to follow through with its trade to Niger because Nigeria does not deliver anything to Niger that will scare Niger. Yes, Nigerians like to say this all the time. 1 out of 4 African is Nigerian. And I always ask, so what? What difference does it make to a Botswanan that 1 out of 4 is Nigerian? It doesn't really matter, because when an African opens his refrigerator, there's no Nigerian product in it. So 1 out of 4, the Chinese don't say that. The Indians don't say that. You never heard the Chinese say, 1 out of 3 in the world is Chinese, because they deliver. And I think until we start delivering on the economic side, it's just that, statistics. Thank you.
Great insight.
That's a lot of food for thought. And how can anybody respect you as a country when you don't respect the rights of your citizens? It didn't start with Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. It's always been the bane of the problem in Nigeria. To address some of that, I'd like to borrow from Bob Marley and his song, War. But before I do that, I'll set the pace with the exact words of his war coming from a narrator. Just listen.
Until basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, the dream of lasting peace and world citizenship and the rule of international morality would remain but a fleeting illusion. Each also invoked the ongoing foreign policy liberation struggles at the time, discussing the unhappy regimes holding brothers in Angola, Mozambique, and South Africa in subhuman bondage until they have been toppled and destroyed. Until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight.
It is on that note that I want to ask if any Nigerian can logically tell me why all Nigerians should not fight until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to every Nigerian across the board without regard to tribe. I promised you that I'm not going to be confrontational with President Tinubu anymore. He's our president. I might as well deal with it. But in dealing with it, it doesn't mean I don't have to keep trying to give my 2 cents as to what could make our country a better place. Nigeria is never going to have peace, President Tinubu, unless there's equity in the land. Deep down inside me, I truly believe that you want to leave yourself a legacy that would have you as the man who came out of nowhere against all kinds of backlash and set Nigeria on the right path. Realistically, if you are smart as your supporters say you are, that should be a no-brainer. I feel that the problems you've had so far is because you tend to be listening to some of the freeloaders around you who have no interest of Nigeria at heart, but are desperate to get as much as they can before you leave office. If you're going to be the president of all Nigerians, which is what your lip service has promised so far, a time may come when you may have to turn your back on some of your faithful supporters, because faithfulness should come from a position of righteousness, or maybe I should say good, honest faithfulness should come from a position of righteousness. If these people are leading you the wrong way, they are not faithful to you from a position of righteousness. They are faithful to you from a position of selfishness. And you have to make a choice between the best interest of Nigerians and the best interest of your friends. No country on earth can grow and prosper in insecurity. I too am one of the people who have nicknamed your administration the administration of sound bites. So far, you people have ruled well by sound bites. Naira has come down, even when we know that you took loans to bring Naira down, and eventually it's going to go back to where it belongs, which could be worse than 2,000 Naira to $1. But that's fine. You're building highways, you do it, but many of them are distractions. They don't need to be distractions because they are good projects. The reason we call them distractions is that they are distractions from the fact that the budget was padded. They are distractions from the fact that there is suspicion that you have your hand in the NNPC cookie jar. They are distractions because we feel that the budget to build the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway is padded, and a whole lot of things. By nature, by design, the capitalist system run in a democracy can sometimes be a corrupt system. But those corruptions exist in America, they exist in the United Kingdom, they exist everywhere there is capitalism and democracy. But they exist to the point where the people don't care because the services are provided for them. The roads are good, the electricity works, the water works, The school systems are good. The healthcare system is good. And on and on and on. And there's not insecurity. People could travel 24 hours a day without being worried. If crime happens, it's an abnormality. It's not normal. In Nigeria, the opposite is the case with everything. I can't oppose you for 4 years. It's tiring. I can't oppose you for 8 years if you stay 8 years. It's going to be tiring. You can't endure the criticisms from people like me multiplied 1,000 times. It's in our best interest for this relationship to work, for you to succeed, so that people like me can find reason to say beautiful things about you. It's a win-win situation if we both work on our parts to make it better. Why honestly does a Yoruba person want to stay in Nigeria with all the agitations and unfairness going on in Nigeria, even if it benefits a few Yorubas? It doesn't benefit the whole. That's why they are agitating. Why does an Igbo man want to be part of this Nigeria where Nigeria has been unfair to him since the war ended? As a matter of fact, starting from the inception of the war. Why does an Hausa man want to live in the north with the Fulani man when we see what the Fulani has done to them since Danfodia came to Nigeria? Why does the man in Niger Delta want to trust government when they supply what makes Nigeria run and their area is the most polluted part of the country without anybody seeming to care? Nigeria and the neglect in Nigeria breeds a need for agitation. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, make yourself the president that conquers those agitations and comes out the best we've ever had. I itch to call you the best president Nigeria ever had, but you have to earn it. Everything I've called you in the past is deservedly so. I have never made up one single story about your past, but I like to write and report and do commentary on future stories about you, about things you've done well for Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if you do well for Nigeria, nobody cares what may have happened in America. Nobody cares what may have happened at Chicago State University. Nobody would care what may have happened in Lagos over the last 24 years. All those things will become irrelevant because all we're going to remember you for will be things you did to correct the abnormalities that have happened in Nigeria since Nigeria became independent. No, I didn't say you should fix all in 4 years or fix all in 8 years if you're there for 8 years. I'm saying set us on the right path. Create a Nigeria where somebody could honestly critique you and land at the airport without being worried what could happen to them. That's democracy. Create a Nigeria where somebody could honestly critique you and come into Nigeria and sit down with you at Aso Rock and you people talk about it and walk away with a handshake saying, let's start a new leaf. It could be done. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as you stand today, I want to be one of the people who is telling you that there is no single Igbo person you are friends with today that sees your best interest. There is no single APC Yoruba person that you're working with today that's working in your best interest and the best interest of Nigeria. There is no single Fulani person or a Do person or a Robo person or a Bibio person, regardless of where they come from, Nigeria. If they are close to you today, under the circumstances of what Nigeria is going through, they are not honest people. They are there for their pockets. I want the best for you, which means I want the best for Nigeria. And it's the same thing I want from you that people like Dele Farotimi want from you. People like Rufai Oseni. People like Okonkwo, the actor who is now a contributor on TV stations. It's the same thing that Maokbe Ogun wants from you. It's the same thing that Sheun wants from you. It's the same thing that Yemi Adamolekun wants from you. It's the same thing that Pa Adebanjo wants from you. It's the same thing that Olusegun Obasanjo wants from you. It's the same thing that Bode George wants from you. It's the same thing that Aisha Yesufu wants from you. It's the same thing that every Nigerian that is hurting and begging for a government that protects their interest, it's the same thing they want from you. We don't want connections to enrich ourselves at the expense of other Nigerians. We just want a Nigeria that works for everybody. And that's not too much to ask. And I hope you and your friends in power don't find what I'm doing today encroaching or abusive or bad enough that you think I'm speaking against you. I'm not speaking against you. I'm speaking and appealing for what's in the best interest of Nigerians. And on that note, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Búburú kan kò ní ṣubú lù mí, àrùnkárùn kankan kò ní súnmọ́ ilé mi. Ìròyìn ayọ̀ létí mi yóò máa gbọ́. Lórúkọ Jésù, ire lójú mi yóò máa rí. Búburú kan kò ní ṣubú lù mí. Àrùnkárùn kankan kò ní súnmọ́ ilé mi. Ìròyìn ayọ̀ létí mi yóò máa gbọ́. Lórúkọ Jésù, ire lójú mi yóò máa rí. Bí mo bá jáde, ire ni tèmi. Bí mo bá padà wọlé, ire ni tèmi. Báwọn ọmọ mi bá jáde, ire ni tiwọn. Búburú kankan kò ní yà lọ dẹ̀dẹ̀ mi. Torí pé búburú kan kò ní ṣubú lù mí. Àrùnkárùn kankan kò ní súnmọ́ ilé. Ìròyìn ayọ̀ nìkan létí mi o. Lórúkọ Jésù o. Ire lójú mi ó máa rí. Bíbélì wí pé Olúwa lolùṣọ́-àgùntàn mi. Bẹ́ẹ̀ èmi kì yóò ṣaláìní ohun rere. Torí náà ire ni tèmi. Ire ni mo yàn lórúkọ Jésù, ire ni tèmi. Búburú kan kò ní ṣubú lù mí. pàṣẹ ní ti ṣe ọwọ́ mi èmi yóò sì ṣe.